In Bangladesh, a bride's family is often expected to bring a dowry of money or goods to the marriage. The practice was outlawed 30 years ago, yet it remains widespread, especially in rural communities. Failure to pay the dowry or to pay enough often leads to violence and the deaths of hundreds of women every year. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we ask what's being done to protect women in Bangladesh from dowry-related violence. Those taking or demanding a dowry in Bangladesh face imprisonment, a fine or both. Yet the practice continues, with some women beaten or killed if their dowry is seen as inadequate. Filmmakers James Leong and Lin Lee report.
It was an arranged marriage. When we heard that the boy was a doctor and very pious, we agreed to marry her to this family. She had no choice. She left everything to us.
Raihan Arahak and her husband wanted nothing but the best for their daughter, Tamanna. She was a doctor, highly educated and ambitious. They believed she would be happy with Fakhrul Islam, also a doctor, and the son of a wealthy family. But the union was a stormy one.
She conceived her child after being married for 2 months. For the first 6 months of her pregnancy, they gave her trouble. They did not beat her, but they verbally abused her, asking about dowry.
And then, tragedy. On the 28th August 2009, Tamanna's body was found hanging from a ceiling fan in her bedroom. She was just 28 years old and had been married for less than 2.5 years. A coroner has ruled the death a suicide, but Raihan believes Tamanna was murdered because she couldn't provide her husband with a big enough dowry.
I'm sure that my daughter was killed. They had given her death threats before. My daughter suffered a lot of physical and mental abuse from that family. She tried her best to stay with them because of her son. I don't believe she could have committed suicide and left her son alone.
Fakhrul Islam has disappeared. His family declined our request for an interview. The sole witness to Tamanna's death, her son Tamid. Just 2.5 years old, he's too young to understand, let alone give credible evidence. It's unclear if the truth will ever emerge. The case has attracted intense media attention. Allegations of dowry-related violence casting the spotlight on an ugly truth in Bangladeshi society.
The
tradition of dowry is found mostly in the lower class. The middle class also has dowry, but it's in the form of gift giving. In middle class families, educated girls are also abused for dowry.
Under the Dowry Prohibition Act of Bangladesh, it is illegal to either give or receive a dowry. And there is separate legislation criminalizing dowry-related violence. Yet the practice continues.
People also look for upward mobility. The amount of dowry will bring a bridegroom from a better family, better economic conditions family. And also they think if they have half, we will pay half, then the bridegroom will start a family business or something like that. And the daughter will be happily ever after.
But not all marriages are a success. Human rights NGO Audica estimates that in 2009, some 196 women died in dowry disputes.
So there are 2 laws. There are several reasons why these are not effective in combating this violence. And number 1 is the lack of implementation of these laws.
The problem is most acute in rural Bangladesh. Here, ignorance and a lack of access to justice mean that numerous cases go unreported.
The law is made in a way
that a victim has to complain directly, but most of the victims may not know, or most of the victims may not be able to do that.
Activists like Golan Mustafa Rubel hope to change things. A journalism student, he volunteers for the NGO Ordeker, seeking out and offering support to victims and their families.
I help underprivileged women to get legal aid, those who are being abused in society. We bring them under Ordeker's activities, and we help them to get legal aid. We continuously provide this service.
Today, he's investigating yet another challenging case.
আপনি যে ওখানে গেলেন, হ্যাঁ, ওখানে গিয়ে আপনি কি অবস্থাটা দেখলেন?
তারপর আমি বুঝি নেই কি হয়েছে, আমি যা দেখছি খালি মিয়ার লাশ দেখাইছে, খালি মুখখান দেখছি, তারপরে কি হয়েছে আমি বুঝি নেই।
Feroz Taluqdar and his wife Lutfa Khatun lost their daughter Mukti in 2008. They're convinced she was a victim of dowry violence.
Her husband Hanan and his sister were asking for money and abused my daughter. They wanted a share of our land and our business.
Taluqdar runs a small weaving business. He's not rich by any stretch of the imagination. But he says he was able to provide Mukti with a dowry of about $720. And then her in-laws started asking for more.
He asked for a share of my property. He thought that he could get more from us. Sometimes he would pressure us and torture her.
They tortured her a lot and then killed her. I want proper justice. This is my request. They should hang.
Mukti's husband, Hanan Mondal, has run away. But Rubel manages to track down some of his relatives.
আপনার বোন না, হানানের বোন তো আপনি?
এই বাসায় সব তো বাড়াইতে।
না, সব বাড়িতে আপনি তো হানানের বোন। আমি তো আপনাকে চিনি। আপনার সাথে মানে ওইটাই জানতে চাচ্ছি যে এখন ওই মামলাটা কি অবস্থা?
আমির বাড়ি থাকি, আমি তো সব কিছু জানি।
আপনার হানান চাচতো বোন, আপনার নাম কি? হ্যাঁ, মূল ঘটনাটা কি?
ডায়রিয়া।
তা আপনার ওই সময় তাৎক্ষণিক চিকিৎসা করতে পারেন?
চিকিৎসা করছে।
তারপরে
চিকিৎসা করতে পায়খানা করতে করতে পারেন কে? কোয়ানেন কে?
আচ্ছা, এই যে হানানের ফ্যামিলি যে ওই যৌতুক চাইছিল নাকি?
না না না, কিচ্ছু না।
মানে 1 লাখ টাকা যৌতুক ছিল, তার 50,000 দিছে।
না না, যৌতুক দেয় না, ওরা সময় নিছিল আমার ভাই। এই
1 লাখ 50,000 দিছিল না?
না
দিছিল না,
যৌতুক দেয় না, ওরা সময় নিছে আর কি। সময় নিছে, আমরাও সময় নিছে, আমগরও সব কোনো প্রশ্ন নেই।
An early police report revealed that Mukti had scars and bruises on her body. There was also blood in her nose, behind her ears and in her throat. But the subsequent investigation was plagued with problems. It took months before an autopsy was finally carried out in Dhaka. The conclusion stands in stark contrast to the police's initial findings. Coroners say Mukti died of cardiorespiratory failure due to a disease. The finding is a setback for Taluqdar, but he is pressing on.
After I got the final report, I brought the case to the district court, but they rejected it. After that, I took the case to the High Court. The High Court has admitted the case.
Navigating Bangladesh's legal system has been a long, frustrating process for Taluqdar. Rubel accompanies him to the district public prosecutor's office, hoping to expedite things. The reality is, there's little more Taluqdar can do but wait. Courts in Bangladesh are often seen as inefficient.
Because of shortage of manpower in the court, because of a number of cases, backlog of cases, it's not always possible to maintain the schedule, so it gets lingered.
Small wonder then that numerous families of alleged victims eventually give up. Taluktar says he's not backing down, but chances are it will be years before he finally has his day in court.
Bangladesh's inefficient legal system is just one of the many obstacles preventing victims and their families from pursuing justice. After the break, we examine traditional notions of marriage in the country and see just how social pressure can sometimes lead to tragedy. Stay with 101 East. Welcome back to 101 East. This week we're looking at dowry-related violence in Bangladesh, which can take many forms. Here's more from James Leong and Lin Lee.
Aki Akhtar rarely leaves her house these days. She's too scared and too ashamed to show her face, or let us identify her by her real name. Her story is a horrific one.
He burned my body with cigarettes. If you don't give me the dowry money, I will kill you, he said. I was very afraid, so I came back home. After I came back home, he came to torture me, and he threw acid on me because I didn't go back to him.
Aki's husband is now in prison pending a trial. But these angry scars continue to remind her of his wrath. It's a common revenge tactic in Bangladesh. For just a few cents, an attacker can buy enough acid to disfigure a person for life.
He told me, I'll make you ugly instead of beautiful. I didn't believe that he would throw acid on me.
Aki's mother blames herself for her daughter's plight.
I made a big mistake. I made a wrong decision. I married her off when she was so young. My daughter is a beautiful girl. Any man would have chosen to marry her. Now I have become her enemy because I have ruined her life.
Outside the house, a crowd of nosy onlookers. This is a small community and a conservative one. Aki has divorced her husband and is now the subject of much gossip.
It's a sense of shame. Why she divorced? She must have done something wrong. It's always the blame is always put on the woman.
Victims of dowry violence often come under intense pressure not to press charges. Aki's husband had an accomplice, and her family have been asked to settle with him.
The villagers said he is a neighbour, so we should withdraw his name from the case. Because I have to live in this village, I listened to them and settled with him out of court.
As for her husband, Aki says she will never forgive him. Neither will she ever marry again.
They have destroyed my life. Do you think I can get married? My whole body is covered with acid burn scars. I don't want to get married again.
Sociology professor Mahbooba Nazrin says women like Aki are rare in Bangladesh.
In our culture, that single women concept is not that much popular. You will not find a women throughout their life, they are dependent on father, then their husband, and then their sons.
No case illustrates this dependency more clearly than that of Taslima Begum. We meet her by chance at the public prosecutor's office at a district court.
তোমার চোখে হ্যাঁ কেন মারছে তোমাকে
50,000 টাকা যৌতুকের জন্য
যৌতুকের জন্য মারছে আর তোমার স্বামী তোমার খোঁজ খবর নেয় না তুমি মামলা করতে চাও
হ্যাঁ মামলা করতে চাই
তুমি বিচার চাও
হ্যাঁ বিচার চাই
এই যে মেয়েটা তাসলিমা নাম
This isn't the first time Taslima has been to see the public prosecutor. She's been married for 10 years and says her husband beats her regularly. Like Aki's husband, He's now in jail pending an investigation.
I came to tell the court that my husband and his family have tortured me. I came here for justice. I came to let society know about my plight. I came here to find out how to punish them.
But Taslima's father has other ideas. She's been living with her parents for 8 months now. He says he can't afford to feed his daughter or her 2 young children.
I have gone to a lot of people because I'm helpless. I asked them to help us negotiate with her in-laws so they would take her back. There is nothing more I can do. I only have 1 cow to depend on to feed my family.
Trapped in a difficult situation, Taslima has 2 young children and no means to support them on her own. Her parents don't want her, but she is too scared to go back to her in-laws. It's an all too common scenario.
So again, this is related to their economic dependence, their social dependence, their identity with the husband's family, and their lower status. There is no single institute which can guarantee her as an independent life, economically solvent life, or a secure life. That's why most of them have to go back.
If she is the party to the divorce, then she leaves her husband's house with nothing. So there's a crux in that matter. So it's better for her to go back to her in-laws' house, and occasionally when her husband beats her up, to come to her father's house for a few days and then go back, and backwards and forwards.
Taslima has been doing exactly that for nearly a decade. She went to the district court, hoping to put an end to her misery. But her future will be decided here, in this meeting room instead. Her father has called on some community leaders to mediate a settlement.
জানেন না, মা আমার কান্দনে গাছের পাতা ঝরছে, এরকম করে আমার আঘাত করছে, মারতে মারতে আমার কপাল ফাটাইছে, একবার ফাঁসি দিছে। আমার খালে নিয়ে মা আমার এই বাচ্চা পেটে আসছিল, এই সময় আমার খালে নিয়ে চুবাইছে। এরপরে আমার জানেন রাইতে আমার ছেলে না থাকলে আমার আজকের দিন আমি মাটির তলে থাকতাম, এইভাবে আমার আঘাত করছে। আমার এই 2টা হাত আমার ভাঙে ফেলেছে, পা ভাঙিলে, আমার শরীরে কোনো আঘাত না, আমার অনেক দেখার মতো আমার কোনো জায়গা নাই যে আমি দেখামো, এমনভাবে ওনারা আমার আঘাত করছে। করতে করতে আমি 10টা বছর কাটাইছি এই বাচ্চা বাচ্চা করে, এখন আর আমি কুলাইতে পারি না। আমি মরণ কি জিনিস আমি সব দেখে ফেলাইছি। মরতে হলে কীভাবে মরণ চায়, তাহলে আমার দুঃখে সবাই কাঁদছে, এরকম কেন করলো? যেই আমার লোক অত্যাচার করছে, আমি দেখে ওনার ভাত খাই আইলাম, অন্য কোনো মাইয়া হইলো আর ভাত খাইতো না।
এই যে তোমার সংসার চলবো কি চলবো না, তুমি যেই লাইনে যাও এই লাইনে আমরা যাবো।
দামের অবস্থিতে যে তুমি বিচারটা হইতাছে, এই বিচারটা একদিনে তো শেষ করবে সবাই বসে, মানে এই শেষটা গ্রহণ করবো কি? জামাই তো গেল,
A debate follows. Remarkably, no one disputes Taslima's claims that her husband tortured her. It soon becomes clear she's the victim of severe abuse, for reasons that extend beyond money issues.
আমি কি বলছি একটু শুনেন। আমি বলছি এই মেয়েটা এক ছোট ভাইয়ের বউ, পাগল হইলে পাগলের সংসারে এই মহিলা করে এই নাইনাতকুর বিড়ারে একেবারে ধ্বংস করবো, এই জন্য এটা চায় না। এটা আপনার কি কিছু করণীয় নাই? কত লোক লঞ্চনা পাইছি জীবনের লাটকারে কি এই বাইরের উচিলায়, এই বাইরের উচিলা জীবনের লাটকারে শেষ করে দিছি। আমার আর দেহ নাই, আমি একবারে মানুষের আগে আমি একদম হারানি গেছি গা। এই বাইরের জগতে আমি বউরও দোষ দিই না, আমার কপালের দোষ, নাইলে ভাই যাদের বাপ এই যে ভাই এক ভাই মাঠটার বাড়ি করছে এই তো গেছে গা আমি গোলাঘাটে ট্রেনিং করে খাবার
There's one issue, though, that the arbitrators refuse to touch on.
দাউরি কখনো দেও না চায়ও
না দেও না চায়ও না আর না দেও আরে বিয়ে দিছি দূর ওই যে যৌতুক নাই সামথিং এর কত বড় অবস্থা নাই গরিব মানুষ কি আরে যৌতুক আরে অবস্থা ভালো এগুলো কয়টা খারাপ বেশি খারাপ যৌতুক নাই না যৌতুক নেই
ওরা অতিরিক্ত মারছে এখন ওই আইনটা যদি সাথে না লাগায় সে বিচারটা পাইব না ওই যৌতুকটা না দিলে তারা আটকাও রাখতো না
The response is perhaps understandable. There is no specific legislation dealing with domestic abuse in Bangladesh, but everyone knows dowry-related offences are illegal.
এটা আমাদের ঘরোয়া ব্যাপার এই ঘরোয়া ব্যাপারে আমার আসছে আমার বিদেশি 3-4 জন বন্ধু-বান্ধব বান্ধবী হইছে এক কাছে আমাদের অভিনন্দন হইল আমরা এটা সুষ্ঠু সুন্দরভাবে মেয়ে এবং নাইনাতপুরের পক্ষেই কাজ করার জন্য একমত হয়েছে ইনশাআল্লাহ শুধু ওই জামাইয়ের মতামতটা প্রয়োজন মতামতটা আমার শ্রদ্ধেয় চেয়ারম্যান জনাব আব্দুল হাকিম ইজি সাহেব আরো দুইজন লয়ে গিয়া ওই মতামতটা আনলে একটা চূড়ান্ত সিদ্ধান্ত দেব আসসালামু আলাইকুম সবার কাছে শেষ করলাম
The meeting concludes without a resolution. Taslima's mother-in-law arrives at the end and attempts a reconciliation. It is clear Taslima doesn't want to go back to her in-laws. But the decision isn't hers to make. Her fate, like so many Bangladeshi women, is out of her hands.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of 101 East. Thanks for watching.